Hi guys, welcome to another Sporting Communities mental health podcast. Sporting Communities are a community interest company. We are an ethical, non-for-profit organisation which services range from sports coaching, youth work, mentors and family support. We are a training academy delivering a range of qualifications, and we also have art and play services. Today I'm again joined by Denzel, Mim and Martine. We're going to be covering a few topics around anxiety, going over what we went over last week. That's really helped a few people, so we'll just quickly recap on that. But we'll start with introductions again. So coming to you, Denzel.
Hi guys, good evening. My name is Denzel. I'm a youth engagement worker for Sporting Communities. I've been here for a good few months or so now. And also I'm an independent songwriter and also a pro coach, football coach for Notts County.
Fantastic. Mim?
Hi, I'm Mim and I've been with Sporting Communities for just shy of 2 years now. And my role is to go out into the community and engage with you guys. And I do a lot for the mental health and mentoring side of things as well.
Perfect. Martine?
Hi, my name's Martine. I've been working for Sporting Communities since last July. I'm working on the Active Youth project at the minute. I'm also a leader in running fitness and I work for a mental health charity.
Perfect. And for those of you who haven't met myself or heard from me before, I'm James. I've been with Sporting Communities now for a couple of years, mainly going out into the community, putting on sports sessions, trying to basically have fun and get people involved. But obviously due to lockdown, we have been putting on podcasts and bits like that for you guys to hopefully help you through the tough time, the same that we're all going through. So quick catch up from last week. Firstly, Denzel, have you been going out on your walk every day?
I'm glad you asked. I have actually, yeah. I genuinely have been out every single day.
Good. Proud of you.
Yeah.
How have you found it? Have you enjoyed it?
Nice. Do you know what? Really quickly, I'll just mention I don't know if I mentioned last week about a poem or anything like that I was working on, but basically me going out inspired me to write the poem that I've now completed, which is based around the topic of the sun. So obviously going out, it just put a spring in my step, made me feel more positive, and I have actually felt great about it. So yeah.
Great stuff. I'm glad to hear it.
By yourself, so thank you very much. You're one of the reasons I've been feeling as good as I have been feeling.
I'll take that. Or just leap all the praise my way. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah, so to anyone watching and listening, get out as much as you can, even if it's just for 10 minutes, even if it's sometimes I just took a detour on the way back from a corner store and embrace the fresh air.
Great
really
stuff.
Good for your mind, man.
Martine, how's the injury?
It's getting there. I'm being very good. Spending a lot more time focusing on other things, lots of stretching, lots of strength work, and yoga is amazing.
Oh, very good. Very good. You still enjoying it?
Yes, I am, yeah.
Good.
What's yoga like, Martine?
I found it tough when I first started. It can be a little bit painful when you're a runner like me and you're quite stiff. You're not very flexible. I'm not very flexible. So
yeah.
Doing yoga.
I tried yoga during the first lockdown. So I was like, oh, I go running quite often, stuff like that. I'm sure yoga will be nothing for me. And then it's like trying to get you into these positions. I was like, yeah, I'm the least flexible person in the world. I was like, how do people actually do this? You're like watching them on a video and you're like, no, that's not possible. Like, how have they done that?
They're like contortionists, aren't
they?
I'm not very good at it, but I enjoy. It's a good way to start the day, I feel. So instead of like getting up and, the first thing you do is like check your phone and you straight into it, then you've started your day, you hit the ground running. It's a nice way to sort of wake yourself up.
Yeah, definitely.
In the day, so I enjoy it for that.
I think one of the things I noticed from yoga actually was like a couple of hours afterwards, you feel a lot looser because of it. At the time, it hurts and you're like, oh my God, getting into these positions is painful, but you feel a lot better for it a few hours later. You feel like, oh, actually, I feel quite loose now. So yeah. That's what I found anyway.
It is quite surprising as well, if you do it regularly, how quickly you can feel that benefit from it, and how it starts to ease. It's not quite as painful.
I'll take your word for that one, Martin. It never got any easier for me.
Do any of you that have Martine and Mim, do you ever do it to music or anything like that?
No, I don't actually. I normally do it to video.
Oh, we appear to have lost Mim.
Oh, he's gone.
Martin, do you do it to music?
No, I've never tried doing it to music actually. I usually like to have quiet. I think when you're doing yoga, usually, you try and find that peaceful, quiet, as well as doing the stretches for your body, it's a good time for your mind as well. So I like to just have that peace and quiet while I'm doing my yoga.
Very good. So maybe that's your thing for this week then, Denzel. You took up walking last week. Perhaps it's going to be yoga this week.
Do you know what? I have thought about yoga before. I thought about yoga and what's it called? Meditation.
Yeah.
I will try that. I just need to get myself into a better space, unless I do it outdoors somewhere. I promise I'll keep you posted on that one.
That's it. You'll come on next week and you'll be in your yoga pose and everything.
Yeah, I'll be in my my yoga kit and everything.
Yeah.
That's it.
We're doing it in my mankini.
We're looking forward to it, mate. We can't wait. Right, do we have Mim back? Mim, are you back in the room?
I think she might be joining as we speak.
I think Mim's having a couple of technical difficulties, so
Yeah.
we'll give her a minute and then we'll go back to her just to see how her week's been. Just to touch on what we looked at last week. So last week we looked at the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique, which Mim took us through on the call, and I think we all really enjoyed it. We all found that it was quite beneficial for us. I know since last week's podcast, I've actually had some really good feedback from people who've watched it, used the technique themselves, and they actually found it really useful. So again, if you haven't watched it, go back and watch last week's. Mim does a really, really good representation of how to do the technique. We all gave it a go. We found it really useful. And so it is something to go on, give a go, and hopefully it'll help if you are feeling anxious at all. Oh, have we got Mim back?
I'm back. And this is the reality of working from home. Technology is just not on my side today.
There you go. There you go. So I was just about
on my phone now, so it should be.
I was just about to come to you, Mim, because you were telling us just before the call you bought yourself a table for your bed. So we're all intrigued to know about it.
So it's the best investment I've ever made in my life. So when I'm hunched over all day working from home, it's really difficult on my back. So it's like a little, almost like a breakfast tray that sort of goes over you like this, and you put your laptop on it. So it's like a desk in bed, basically. It's amazing. It's changed my life. So I think it's a good investment that everyone should make.
There you go. Something you wish you'd bought probably around March time when we first went into the first lockdown then, yeah?
Definitely. I have found as well, it's making me more excited to do like my uni assignments and stuff. So if you guys at home that are doing your schoolwork or college work or whatever, it's a lot better. You don't sort of begrudge doing it.
Yeah, I think especially with the fact that homeschooling is everywhere at the minute, I think that's a good tip. However you can get comfortable so that you'll want to do the work rather than sort of be dreading doing the work. I think that's a really good tip. So
where can you get them from, Mim? I might actually need one soon for work as well.
I just got mine off Amazon Prime next day, so it came really quick as well.
Wicked. It's crazy how sometimes small little changes can make such a massive difference when you think about it.
Yeah, no,
Definitely.
100%. So just while we lost you, Mim, I was just explaining that we've had a couple of people contact us about last week's podcast to say how useful they found the technique. So to pass on their thanks to you for going through it so effectively, because it really did help them. Moving on from that, what I wanted to talk about this week was a couple of other techniques. So obviously you've got the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique, but that's not going to be as effective for everyone. So what I wanted to discuss with you guys today is basically any other techniques that you can think of, or anything that you do. So if you're feeling anxious in a certain situation, what do you do to try and make yourself feel better? So I don't know who wants to start, but basically anything you do or any advice you can give to try and help with people's anxiety if they are feeling that way.
Well, based on my recent trips that I've been taking since our last session, that's helped my anxiety better, because normally when I'm anxious, sometimes it actually keeps me in, but actually going out earlier in the day whilst it's nice and bright, it kind of removes it, because I think about it less the more busier I am. So that's something that sort of I've been doing, and that's helped me.
Yeah, definitely. Do you ever feel like you are anxious before you go out about anything? Or
100%, yeah, 100%. There was a period of about a couple of years where I struggled to actually do anything whatsoever, and I was often housebound, to be honest, because I think one, I should say, there's being anxious whilst you're doing something, and then two, there's being anxious about what it is that you have to do.
yeah,
So even going out, I start to feel a bit awkward about it, and yeah, just having to do activities or be around people, etc., etc. But I think just relaxing for a second and just breathing and just realizing that there's nothing to sort of be scared of or overly worried about. You'll soon realize it's just partly yourself that you can just overcome it, basically.
out of interest, when you do go out, so let's say you were feeling anxious about a situation that was upcoming, and you decided, you know what, I'm going to go for a walk to try and make myself feel better. Do you try not to think about the thing that you're feeling anxious about while you're walking? Do you still think about it while you're walking? Just out of interest, because I know different things work for different people. So
I used to use music, so it wasn't necessarily me being able to put things to the back of my mind. I used to have a distraction, and music became my distraction. So every single time I went out somewhere, I had my headphones on, and I just tried to zone out and just to, listen to my favorite artists and my favorite tracks. Every time I went on a bus, my music would be playing. Every time I was walking on the street, my music would be playing. So maybe if you can think of something to just take your mind elsewhere, if you can't naturally do it yourself, then that might be the better way to go about things. For anyone that doesn't really listen to music, I also tried phone calls with people that I was most comfortable with. So you end up just having conversations with people through my earphones about anything. And soon, a few minutes into the call, the only thing that's on your mind is the conversation that you're having, and not so much anything that normally gives you a feeling of anxiety.
yeah, again, it's a good distraction technique, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
How about anyone else?
One for that as well, I think podcasts would be a good idea. So it might be that you listen to one of our podcasts whilst you're out and having a walk if music isn't something, or it could just be like a random podcast that of something you enjoy. Or so I think that's really, really good technique, Denzel.
Yeah, and that's a really good suggestion that you've just said, actually listening to a podcast that can specifically be touching on anxiety or any other mental health aspect. So that's actually wicked you've mentioned that, man. Radios as well, your favorite artists, interviews, etc., your favorite actresses, actors.
Yeah, I think anything that's going to distract your mind from the thoughts that you were having previously, I think will hopefully work. Like you say, it's just finding whatever works for you, isn't it? How about you, Martine? Is there anything else that you try to do if you're ever feeling anxious?
Yeah, I mean, I'm big on exercise, so I like to get out every day and either, not run at the minute, but run or walk. And sometimes when you're doing that, you don't really pay attention to the world around you, especially when you're running. You're not really taking in what's happening around you. But sometimes if I can slow it down and just be more aware, what's going on around me. I'm not listening, like you listening to music or a podcast. You can also listen to nature. You could, pay a bit more attention to what you can hear going on around you. Birds, other animals, wind in the trees, things like that can also help.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think what we touched on last week with the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique, when we were all on about things that we could hear, That was one of the ones that we all sort of went like this, and we were like trying to actually listen for sounds and stuff like that. So like you say, just taking a walk out in the park and just listening, you could maybe count how many different sounds you can hear. That might be something that just help distract you. Even if you can hear a dog barking, you can hear a bird chirping, you can hear a mum talking to their kid, whatever it is, if you start counting them, that's going to distract your mind from obviously the anxious thoughts that you've been having. So no, I think that's a really good one again, Martine.
Quick question.
That's still positive as well through lockdown, like because we've had all of the options of going to places that we'd normally go sort of taken away from us, we're making the most of nature again, and I think it's so nice to sort of be at one with that, and like Martine said, you know, sort of looking out for them things that we wouldn't necessarily normally focus on. And I think that's one sort of silver lining that we can take from this, and I hope that we take forward, you know, just to sort of continue doing those kind of things. Yeah,
no, I agree. Sorry, Denzel, did you have a question?
I was just going to say, I was wondering if any of you have any pets, by any chance.
Martine's nodding. What have you got, Martine?
Yeah, we've got three dogs, a cat, some tropical fish, and some tarantulas. We've got 5 spiders.
Did you say a tarantula?
Yeah, I've got
5.
5. You're joking, aren't you?
You'll have to show and tell one week.
Not 1, but 5 tarantulas.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
They're my husband.
She's going to take them round to introduce them to you, Denzel. Is that all right?
Not a chance. Otherwise, I'll be out for 24/7 instead of just 1 hour a day. The only reason why I asked is because I didn't have no pets, but I know a lot of people online that I've seen, and they seem to make a positive difference to people's well-being and things like that. So I just wondered, maybe how do they make you feel, Martine, and anyone listening or watching, you know, if they have pets that they could maybe play around with more often or take for walks, etc.
Yeah, they are positive.
Yeah.
What's that? I'm so animal obsessed. Like I've got cats, I'm cat mad, but I impulsively bought some gerbils in the first lockdown. But do you know what? I'm so glad I did it, because they're like a really good escapism for me. So they're so easy to look after, but they're so much fun as well. So like just having some little companions to like sit and do my uni work with, so yeah, I definitely recommend pets.
I should just point that to any kids listening. Please don't just go online and start ordering gerbils without asking.
Oh gosh, yeah, do not do that.
Please make sure you get permission from that. Ordering gerbils.
Oh wow.
So one of the techniques that I use, if I'm ever feeling anxious or anything like that, and it is a really, really simple one, but it is literally just counting to 10. So I try to make sure that I'm taking deep breaths, and as you breathe in, you say 1. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll just continually do that up to 10. And then I'll start at 1 again, go to 10. And what you'll find is before long, all you're thinking about is the fact that you're counting and that you're breathing, rather than what you were being anxious about before. So it's a really simple one that you can pretty much do anywhere, anytime. You can count in your head rather than counting out loud. I tend to find that counting out loud actually helps me more, to be honest. But it's for the individual. So whatever helps you. But it seems to help me. If I'm ever feeling anxious, that's what I tend to do. So again, give it a go and see if it helps.
Yeah, that's wicked. I'm glad it's made a change as well. When did you start using that technique?
I mean, to be honest, I'm not.
What differences have you made?
I'm not a massively anxious person. So I do tend to be quite a laid back person, and tend to try and just take things as it comes. But I think this year, or last year, I should say now, anyone who hasn't experienced anxiety in the last year, they're lying. Everybody has experienced anxiety, because it was such a crazy year and there was so much change for everyone. I think the biggest change for me came during the first lockdown, when I was suddenly not at work, wasn't allowed out of my house, and I was physically doing nothing. And I'm such a busy person. I like to get out. I like to go running. I do enjoy my work. I like to go to work. I like to socialize with people. And to suddenly have none of that and just be stuck in the house, I felt like I was anxious just because I couldn't do anything. And it was then about me trying to distract myself. And I know that myself and Mim obviously did a couple of podcasts back then, and we spoke about trying to create sort of jobs for the day and daily routine and stuff like that. And that was something that I actually really struggled with, because I couldn't fill my day. I just physically did not have enough stuff to fill my day. But what I found during the second and then third lockdown is I've learned from the first one, and I've learned actually to spread things out and try not to do everything all at once, and actually create a job for the morning, create a job for the afternoon, have something I'm going to do in the evening. As I said to you last week, I've started going running every day, and that's really helped me. But I've tried to sort of set a time in the morning when I get up as to what time I'm going to go. So it's something for me to look forward to. And I think just the counting technique I'll do, if I'm just sat there and I think to myself, I need to do something, I'll sit there and I'll count, because that takes my mind off the fact that actually what's going on around me. And sometimes you forget what world we're living in at the minute. And you sit there and then you look outside and you think, God, can you actually believe what is going on out there in the world? And it distracts you. And for me, that's worked, and it's helped take my mind off it. So if it can work for anyone else, even one other person, then that's a good thing in it. So
wicked, James.
Is there any other techniques that anybody wants to discuss that they do or that they know about, that young people could try if they're ever feeling anxious?
I think meditating is a really big one, and there's a stigma around meditation, but I think sort of the idea of just sort of sitting and being at one with yourself and understanding sort of what your body and your mind is going through and being able to accept that, I think has been really helpful for me. So it's not for everyone, but I think it's definitely worth a try. And even if just rather than meditation, just mindfulness in general, sort of just not ignoring your feelings and not sort of pushing them aside, but acknowledging them and going, okay, this is how I'm feeling. Half of the problem sometimes for me personally is accepting how I'm feeling, because I'll be so busy and I'll just sort of keep going and be like, I need to get this done, this done, and you won't sort of have time to sit and process how you're feeling and acknowledge that. So I think it's really important sometimes just to take 10 minutes out of the day to just sit and just be with yourself. And I think that's helpful.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good point, actually. A lot of the techniques that we've discussed so far have been trying to put the thoughts that you have into the back of your mind, and try and almost move on from them thoughts. But actually, what Mim's made a really good point there. Sometimes you do actually need to just sit there and actually just process what you're thinking about. And there's nothing wrong with sitting there and feeling, right, what am I feeling anxious about? I'm feeling anxious about this, this, and this. And then actually trying to process it that way, like Mim's just said. There is literally no way of doing that. Sorry, go on, Mim.
No, it's okay. Another way of doing that, just a thought, is if meditation and something less visual isn't for you, then something like a journal is the same concept. So just getting out of your mind and onto paper how you're feeling. So it might be that you want to visualize that more and actually put it down in writing. So whether that be like a picture, a mind map, a journal, anything like that, that can just get it from here and out, so that you can sort of process that and visualize it and understand it a little bit better. And you can then move on from it and sort of box your emotions, think, right, okay, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I can now do with that. So I think that's really helpful.
You know what else anyway? Going on from what you said as well, if you said sort of mind map out the way you're feeling, but also then add on sort of ways to overcome those emotions also. So sort of, hourly or daily, revisit them and remind yourself of different things that you can do to improve your health physically and mentally. And also, when you touched on mindfulness and meditation, that made me think of books, and that then made me think of, because there's a lot of books that are based on, positive thoughts and things like that. So it made me think of either the creating side, so you're just sitting at home, because not everyone's going to want to go outside, and not everyone's going to be physically able or want to be physically active. So maybe just creating something at home and having that focus. So you know, you have a distraction there, but it's a positive one that's also improving yourself by yourself. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
I have a journal, and it just asks you to write, you know, a couple of bits per day about something positive, and then something that's happened in the day, something that's made you feel happy, and things like that. But it's also got on every other page, it's got a little picture for you to colour. So it's got mindful colouring in it as well. And it just, you know, gives you that break where you can just sit and doodle away without having to think about it.
Yeah, no, brilliant. Again, it's a great distraction technique, isn't it? And it's something that's going to help take your mind off it. So perfect. Right. Well, hopefully there's a few there to help you guys out if you are struggling. What I'm going to do, I'm going to set us all a task for next week. So what I want us to do, if we are feeling anxious or we're in an anxious situation or anything like that during the next week, I want us to try a different technique to what we would normally use and see how successful it is for us. Yeah. So obviously my normal thing would be to count to 10 or go for a run. So I'm going to try something different. So I might try, like Mim was saying, about actually writing down my thoughts and everything like that, mind mapping it and seeing how I am. But basically, if you are feeling anxious at any point in the next week, obviously if you're not, then great, even better. But if you are feeling anxious at all in the next week, and I'm sure we all will at some point, if we can use a different technique that we've spoke about, and then we can feed back to each other next week about how successful we found that, I think that'd be a really good thing to do, if you're all happy to do that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Sounds like a good challenge, actually, doing something different.
Perfect. Right.
As long as it doesn't involve tarantulas or anything like that.
It won't involve tarantulas, don't worry.
All right, Martine. I know what you're thinking, Martine.
I can introduce you to one next week if you want.
There you go. Show and tell. Show and tell. Happy days. Right, I think that's pretty much it from us for this week. So thank you for watching again. We really hope this helps for anyone who is struggling. And we will speak to you all again soon. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.